normally you want to have your Warp Prism out actually basically at the opponent's base to make that first DT warp in and then drop. His Warp Prism wasn't even finished yet when the Dark Shrine was finishing, so the timing was way off there, and Maru just put on that counter pressure. So Jim is now on his last life here on a map that a lot of people like to play PvT on, Deadwing, especially on cross spawns because you get that late game, death ball. Let's see if Jim can actually make that, because so far he's either ended the game before that or he's lost too much to Maru's pressure. Let's go into game number 4.
Up here in the top right in the red, the Terran player, he's up 2-1 right now. It is Maru.
And his opponent, first a shot of Maru. His opponent to the bottom right in blue. On his last life, it's Jim. Still definitely got a chance on this one. Don't count him out yet.
Yeah. Maru looking very calm. I mean, he started playing when he was super young. I think he was like 13 or something. And
yeah,
he's been kind of like molded by this kind of situation, this kind of pressure that he feels. So he never really plays nervous. He's kind of pretty solid all the time.
Maru played in the very first GSL TG Sambo Open. And if you go and look at how long ago that was, which was 4 years ago, and you look at the pictures of Maru from that tournament, you can see just how young he was. And actually, he quit school in order to pursue a StarCraft career. So he knows, and I actually interviewed him once a long time ago, and he said that he knows that that's kind of a risky thing to do. And back then, he was not even half as good as he was, as he is now. It was like one of his code A's where he didn't even go far. I interviewed him at the qualifiers, and he said, "I know I'll make it one day. Like, I'm just going to keep trying, and I'm actually going to be one of the best one day." And is terrible at Maru normally is in interviews, and as quiet as he is, he actually said that, and here he is, man, on top of the world at a time, one of the best Terrans.
Yeah, I'd say that he's probably made it by now.
I think so. I think he made the right choice.
Yeah. Well, Jim, once again, going for some pretty early scouts here. He does scout that Maru is above him here, so not cross spawns.
And, it's an interesting scout again, just verifies there's gas. He can't really know for sure if a Reaper's being made at that barracks or not, unless he wants to sack his probe to tell, because it could just be a Marine, and then he's making a factory after that. So he just knows it's a gas build. This kind of makes me feel like in China, we see a lot more like one barracks gasless expands out of Terrans, like in the old days in Wings of Liberty, because he keeps checking for this gas. But in Korea, checking for the gas doesn't let you know 100% what's going on, especially with the resurgence of all these drop plays, thanks to players like TY. Ooh, a gas steal by Maru himself. Very rarely see this.
You're going up against a Protoss. Usually they want to get that second gas as soon as possible, even with a build like this, right after you put that Nexus down, because you're going to need the gas for pretty much anything here as a Protoss. And able to steal that here and even distract the Mother Support at the same time, come in and poke a little bit with his Reaper, get the full scout of the base.
Also saw all 3 pylons. I gotta be sure about the location of the tech. Cancel goes down at the last second. Perfect timing there. This is a fairly reasonable response to pull 3 probes, like we saw Jim do right there, because you're going to want those 3 probes to be mining gas anyways. It's just going to make that gas come up a little bit faster. It's a common response. Just if this happens to you, probably going to happen with a Zerg doing it to you, not a Terran, but this does happen from time to time. So Maru completely on the know here, has a safe expand up, and is going to continue to put on that factory pressure.
Yeah, and back here for Jim, he is going to put down that Stargate. Saw him saving up that gas to over 150 here. So not a bad build for the map. It is pretty close here by air. Can just go over the right side of the map and just go straight to the main base of your opponent, so you can get there pretty fast.
Yeah. Super duper quick. Oh, Maru already expecting the possibility of this.
He's like already in position before the Stargate is done.
Pretty smart. He also knows it could be hidden. I mean, he saw the 3 pylons earlier, but he's not sure. In fact, Jim has way overmade pylons, arguably, here. At now 40 of 60 supply. But he's not going to have to make those later. Now, 2 Hellions hit the natural, where a lot of probes are exposed. And we do see that drop heading into the main base, or rather the Reaper, excuse me, to drop in here.
Oh, man. Reaper sees exactly what tech Jim was going for. And over here, he does have the Nexus Cannon coming down, but already 4 probes going down to the Hellion, so pretty nice trade, getting all the information of your opponent while doing damage, I'd have to say.
Yeah, pretty sick. And because he knows about the Stargate, he just instantly puts a Widowmine to intercept that path. If that Oracle flies in the Widowmine and dies, Maru is going to probably jump up and down in his booth with joy. At least in his head, that'll be what he's thinking. Watch his face closely here as we see if this happens or not. It's getting dangerously close. Nope.
Does fly out of the range over
but
there,
the Marines
just barely.
Might knock it back into the range. Oh my god, oh my god, he's going to do it. Maru doesn't even blink when this happens. He's like, I've already foreseen this.
Jim not looking too happy, though, on the opposite side of things. And Jim, he does start making those Phoenixes once again. I'm not sure exactly how many he made. It may have just been 1 here to stop drops. But he is going to put down that robotics bay as well. So it is 2. A little bit better at stopping drops here.
Yeah. He needs to send those out if he wants to intercept this right away. As it is now, the drop might end up unloading before it gets there. I mean, Maru will definitely consider. Because there's only 2 Phoenixes there. There's nothing on the ground next to it.
Well, once that 3rd Phoenix does come out, if he does catch it here, he can just pick up those Widowmines. But Maru, very quick on the scout. They're seeing the Phoenixes and actually just runs away. He's got to actually get a bit farther away because these Phoenixes are on the chase.
Yeah, see, this is why sometimes you see players just go ahead and drop it out, because if the Phoenixes chase you and actually have vision of that constantly, if they're on top of that, which Jim here was a bit late on, then you can just catch that and kill it. Ooh, he's going to be careful about flying over this army, too. Okay, the observer spots it. That army looks like a spear being thrown across the map here towards his base. Let's see if he's got enough. That first Colossus is about to be ready.
Wow. Very early bunker here at the 3rd, even. And it seems like Maru does want to go for a drop while pushing the front. One interesting thing to note is that this is a Marine tank push. He's got 2 tanks here. He does have 2 pushes as well, or at least he did. And now he's got a bunch of Marines here with a bunker, and he can actually just throw those in there once he, if Jim does commit to fighting outside of the range of his Nexus, which I don't think he will. But it's a little extra thing you can add in here just in case.
The bunker is cool because it helps against the Phoenixes a little bit. Obviously, because you can't pick units up that are in that bunker. And it gives them some extra range. And oh boy. This is going to get a lot of damage done. You might even be able to eliminate that assimilator. The Widowmine positioning here is great as well. Going to pick those up, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he should be able to move over towards the right. As of now, he needs to move that Colossus, exactly. But Maru actually losing the medevac at the same time here.
Yeah. Is Maru trying to be too fancy here? That's a question. Jim does not want to just leave those Zealots in range of Marines and those tanks, but I guess he could just kind of ignore the damage here. This has ended up being kind of a weird situation, but Maru will get cleaned up. Now the Phoenixes are actually going to kill all of the medevacs. And that Colossus is doing a little dance on the right side. Really wanted to kill those Marines, but the Phoenixes might do just that anyways.
Now the Marines are stranded.
Yeah, one Phoenix did actually go down to that group of Marines. So Jim stabilizes really well here. Has another Colossus on the way to make that 3 Colossi. Maru does start his Vikings up, but Jim can reasonably take a 3rd base pretty soon here. The one thing he's also missing is forge upgrades. He doesn't have any forges yet. So I guess at this point it's better to kind of sit back, assess whether Maru's going to attack again, and then decide whether he wants to take that 3rd base or get forges up.
This is so funny. Maru will just continuously kite like this with his last units.
That's a good scout right there, sending that probe across. His observer finds it at the same time. But with no range here for his Colossi Valdez, this is going to be tough to hold this third base. He decided to take that. And 2 siege tanks at the back here to help out those Phoenixes, though. There's so many of them. You just come up here and lift the siege tanks immediately, and there's a beautiful time warp on this army. And Maru's Vikings are late to the party. And not only that, but there's so many Phoenixes here to pick those off as well. It looks like Maru might have just run out of steam. The third base will be held here. Another siege tank gets picked off here.
There are just too many Phoenixes in this comp. Like, there are not enough Vikings already. He needs to start getting 4 out at a time, but if I were Jim, I wouldn't be giving him that much time. I'd get another Colossus here, finish up that range, warp in a bunch of units, and just go for the kill.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible we're going to see here. Imagine if he had range done during this fight, how much even a better spot he would have been in here. 4 Vikings getting picked off here by the Phoenixes. 2 go down. And Maru doesn't have a third base. It's just now being started. And the only thing missing for Jim right now is the 1-1 upgrades that Maru's about to have complete. Looks like he just wants to end the game. Like you said, though, extra gateway finishing up right now for that extra production. Can actually delay the CC if he wants to. He's got so much energy on these Phoenixes. Siege tank gets picked up.
Continuing this lifts. That time warp is beautiful as well. Has to be careful here. He could just back off and let the Colossi do the work. Doesn't want to lose all of his Zealots here. But he has as of now, and he's got to back off here, actually. And Maru's getting into a really nice position here with a really nice concave. And like you were saying, those upgrades are really good as well.
Does he have enough here? He's focusing down those Colossi, but that gives the rest of the units of Jim actually time to deal their damage. Another Colossus shows up here. All he really needs is 1 more warp in to seal the deal. There's so many Vikings here, though. Maru, actually, I think he's going to hold here.
Yep.
He's going to push these Colossi back. One of them is almost dead. The second one is going to fall here first, actually.
And he's just putting in those Vikings to focus down the Colossi. That warp into Stalkers is not enough, especially against all of these Marauders that are still alive. The one thing we've seen Jim have a bit of a problem with is just not making enough Zealots, and in that fight, he just sacrificed a lot of them very early on and then just let Maru get into a way of a good position, and he was able to somehow take that fight.
His Stalker-Zealot ratio management is just a bit weak, like you're saying there, but he's still ahead in this game massively because he's had this third base up for a long time. Maru lost his third CC during that fight, so he has to remake that. If he doesn't want to remake that, he might want to consider pulling the boys here, but Phoenix count already being rebuilt. He's got 2 out. He's getting a third one right now. He's going to have a second Colossus out, and he's adding extra gates. He's adding those Zealots he needs in for the buffer. Even a Sentry coming in right now for that Guardian Shield that he was missing and some force fields. And I don't know about this gateway placement. That actually might come back to bite him in a second here. Let's see. As Maru is moving across the map.
Where he's got his army behind them right now.
Yeah.
Here we go. Already putting on the poke damage here. Starting to get to work on those probes. He just put himself in a position to actually take a lot of damage from the Colossi. So he's got to back off a bit here and heal up.
Some good Viking volleys, but not enough. And every second that goes by, Jim gets into a better and better position because of that economy at that third base. Maru turreting up here, actually, with some Widow Mines. And this is forcing Jim to engage.
This time he's got a lot of Zealots. Look at that, man. He's just got enough to tank here this time.
Yeah, he might want to start adding some more Stalkers in fact. Especially with these turrets here, are going to slow down his Phoenixes quite a bit. All right, just goes into this straight up, going to take an engagement here.
Man.
A huge Widow Mine hit.
Yeah, he's got to be careful about just attacking straight into all these Widow Mines. Maru's got an unbelievable concave as well. Keeps on doing some really nice poke damage with his Vikings as well.
All these Widow Mine shots are doing so much damage. These Zealots don't have charge. A few more Stalkers being warped in here to help deal with those last few Vikings. This turret might be a bit of a pipe dream at this point. He needs to target those Colossi on those Marines and actually get some good damage done on this fight that he should be able to stabilize and just win the game. But Maru's control is out of this world. 2 more Widow Mines getting picked off here. Not the best shot on that last one. And even with Maru trying to make a concave, this time he loses too much. Didn't poke on that last Colossus, knocking it down, but it's looking worse and worse every second that goes by.
It's really just about not having that third base. Jim has just had a better economy for way too long here. We see Maru stay on 35 SCVs. He did not make any more after losing all those in the fight. So he's just trying to go for the kill here, but he's running out of steam.
This is almost like Maru saying, like, I'm better than him, right? Like, I can win, right? My micro is actually out of control. Look at my Widowmine hits. But eventually in StarCraft, no matter how good your micro is, macro becomes the bigger problem. It becomes a numbers game. And economy is pretty good for Jim. This is a huge attack. This pylon is a godsend right now for Jim to be able to see this, identify this, get into position. It's a lot of Vikings, Valdez.
Could just try to snipe some Colossi out here, especially with the way they walk up the cliff here.
I think that's exactly his plan.
He already gets one for free here. Could get more. One more shot. He's got a huge amount of Vikings here, and there are not that many Phoenixes. Now the Stargate goes down as well.
Yep, another Phoenix looks like it's going to fall. And look at this drop. He's going to get a few probes before he leaves. Getting another Phoenix. Going to get the Mothership Core.
Mothership Core goes down for nothing.
Jim's control here is falling apart.
Yep.
I can't believe what I'm watching. Maru is actually just pulling him apart.
He got so many probe kills there. 22? That third base is no longer mining.
He's losing so many of these Zealots as well. And a lot of Vikings go down here, but the last Colossus falls anyways, and it's just a pure Gateway army against a very strong Marauder force, which, by the way, still has that 1-1 upgrade. And he's out of medevac energy. So that's something to keep in mind here, as Protoss units are pretty cost efficient. Well, there's no medevacs on the table.
Nice force fields, but there's just too many Marauders in this mix. The Zealots all go down here, and somehow Maru is able to claw back and win this game. GG.
Maru's going to advance. Wow. That was terrible control from Jim.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Maru was very, very far behind, but Maru just put him in a position where he, made Jim make a mistake, and Jim made the huge mistake, man. He lost 2 or 3 Colossi before the fight even started.
That was a really bad panicked reaction. It was let me pull all my Colossi back into my base because I got to defend. They walk up that cliff, and that was no coincidence. Maru, I think, started to figure out, this guy's control is just not very good. He's not splitting his Marines, or excuse me, not splitting his Zealots against my Widowmines. He's not splitting his probes against my Widowmines either. And he's just kind of struggling to build the right ratio of Zealots to Stalkers. I feel like if I drop him here, he's going to bring his Colossi back, and I'm just going to snipe him. The drop wasn't even designed to kill structures on the base. It was actually designed to bait the Colossi out, I think. See players do this with Mutalisks sometimes to bait units into Banelings or bait out medevac snipes.
Yeah.
Let's go into our interview, though, with Maru.
3대1로 조성주 선수가 승리를 거뒀습니다. 축하드립니다, 조성주 선수.
감사합니다.
오늘 중국 최강의 짐 선수를 상대로도 승리를 거두셨어요. 기쁘시죠?
네, 기분 좋아요.
You were able to defeat
어떠세요?
one of the good Chinese players.
예상하셨어요?
마지막 경기를 진 줄 알고 좀 생각을 안 하고 있었는데 어떻게
I thought I was going to lose the last set, actually.
마지막 세트는 사실 좀 조성주 선수가
But I was able to
불리함을 많이
win.
느끼셨나요?
그냥 졌다 생각하고
아.
하고 있었는데 하다 보니까 이기더라고요.
I was
하다
playing the
보니까
game as if I had already
하던
lost
대로
the set.
하시니까 실력이 나오시더라고요. 최근에
But it ended up that I was able to win.
들었어요.
네.
컨디션이 예전 같지 않다는 얘기를 들었는데 개인 리그, 프로 리그에서 또 이렇게 좋은 성적을 거두고 계시잖아요.
네.
조성주 선수.
So I've been hearing that your
현재
condition's
어떠세요?
not been that good these days, but you're doing actually pretty well in Pro League and Star League together.
더 할 수 있을 것 같아요.
아직까지는 견딜 수 있어요. 사실 오늘 맵 추첨 후에는 3대 0으로 승리를
So basically, he's saying
확신하셨어요.
even so, he's just enduring his pain, continuing to play well.
선수한테 부담감을 느끼셨는데 어떠셨어요?
제가 먼저 하니까 별로 어렵진 않아가지고 쉽게 이긴 것 같아요.
생각처럼 쉽게 잘 풀리신 것 같으세요?
네.
또 우리 조성주
So
선수는
basically, he's saying since it was actually just as easy as he thought it was going to be.
로열 로더로 등극하신 바 있잖아요.
네.
이번 SSL은 어떠세요?
So if you win this time, you're going to be a Royal Rotor.
우승해야 하실 것 같아요.
네.
네.
And he said, "Do you think it's going to be possible?" And he says, "Yeah." And he thinks it's possible that I could win the whole thing.
한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
휴일인데 이렇게 응원해 주셔서 감사하고.
So it's a holiday, and thanks for all of you who came down to the studio to cheer for me and
조성주
support me.
선수에게 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Seriously, a ton of people came down here, even on Christmas.
네, 그럼 저희는
Really, really cool to see.
저그의 희망
Yeah,
정용훈
you know,
선수와
it's
예선
actually been incredible how many people you've come down to the studio, considering it's so cold. We're in holiday times here. People are still coming down to watch these awesome players.
Yeah, I mean, there were less people here yesterday than there are today, so you can see the passion is real here on Christmas.
It absolutely is real, man. Well, guys, before we go into our second best of 5 of the night, we're going to have a 7-minute break. We'll be right back.